Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I'm joined this time by Grippa and Ravzia.
Hell yeah.
Let's
All right,
go.
it's turn 46. We've got a. So what's going on? Any of y'all remember? Grippa, you want to give us the TLDR? Put you on the spot.
Uh, uh, son of Ulm and Lemuria kind of going back and forth fighting over like that throne and also around like Ulm's upper lands. I know Lemuria got
Right.
into his lands. Looks like Ulm's trying to stop that. Abyssia getting Ryujin and then taking the stuff back. Killed one or two, I think,
I
but
think they
lost
pieced
some
out recently.
things.
I think that was
That's
another
back and forth.
diplomatic development. They agreed to peace terms. Yeah.
Oh, did they? Interesting. Uh, And then there was Bogrus going after a Satis fort, Satis kicking Phalegra again in the Unmentionables.
Yeah, we also
So,
have Arco having just kind of thrown off. They just kind of threw off Agartha, but it looks like from this, like Jomon's about to attack them. Okay, so we have a message from Arco. Woo-wee! That was a good battle last turn. I figured I could remove the crossbows from the situation. If I could remove the crossbows from the situation, I had better troops on average. Higher protection, longer weapons, piercing instead of slashing, formation fighter, it all added up. Of course, the endless waves of undead and mind burn spam from my mages helped immensely as well. I look forward to seeing your breakdown of the fight later. In other news, Jomon decided to start fighting me again. We agreed for a temporary ceasefire while I dealt with Agartha, and he dealt with issues on his other borders. Unfortunately, I was in no situation to argue for clarified terms, and he messaged me to let me know the ceasefire's over. Well, that's respectful. Yeah, I would
so
probably let you
polite.
know the ceasefire's over by elfing the shit out of you if we didn't have a non-aggression pact. Well, I don't know. If we agreed to a ceasefire, I wouldn't really do a ceasefire, I don't think, without trying to get terms. But yeah. Anyway, while I'm certainly in better shape than I was
Agreed.
when the deal began, I would very much have liked it to have lasted at least 2 turns more. What can you do though? The knitting circle says hello. We don't have a message from Jomon. Let's go ahead and look at what's happened here in Arco. Oh God. So he sent that message. So Jomon sent him this thing basically the same turn that he elfed him. He's like, hey, elfing inbound.
That's my life.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elemental snipes the commander just in time.
Did he have those guys
Ooh, he's got the double pearl.
already on him, or did he just gain them?
Yeah, that guy's a survivor. The other one didn't
There's only one
survive.
dude
Goddamn
here.
pearl necklace.
So. Yeah,
But where did he get the
He
pearl
definitely witnessed the death of a dragon. What do we have here? Do we have... I think that one thing that's kind of cool is mixing up the elemental summoners with the thugs. So this guy's not thugging. Yeah.
They're just casting Frozen Heart.
But it does, I think, even if maybe thugging's like a little better for rating PD, which, we could argue about that. Even if it's better, I think it's still good to mix it up because then it's harder to like counter raid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the fact they're strong casters, especially elemental casters, makes them
Yeah.
a little bit trickier to deal with.
Yeah, put 2 guys. Oh. So he locked down a ton of provinces, but didn't lock down the cap.
Yeah.
And he's beaten off Agartha. Like, he had a big battle. I forget where it was. Maybe it was on top of this. Or maybe it was here. I can't remember. But he now has to come back. I think what would you do as Arco, Ravzia? What would you try to wheel and deal here?
Well, if we're looking at that Agartha army, obviously we don't know if Jomon and Agartha are in talks, but it seems like the Agartha army, if you leave, can pretty easily take that northern fort. And in the meantime, you have all of your other forts besides the cap being locked down at the moment, which is not a great position, obviously. So from the Arco position, you can either try and save your northern fort or move what you have in that big army there south and try and fight Jomon. And I think the only winning
Right.
play is to move south and try and get other neighbors maybe interested in attacking Jomon, which of course we know that at the very least Ulm is probably not going to be interested in. And since they just made peace with Abyssia, they're probably also not going to be interested. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
I think that's a pretty good summary. I think, yeah, they have to move this army south, which means they forfeit this. I would try to diplo with Arco or Agartha and see if I could just give him this fort. And you could threaten, if he doesn't agree to you, you just suicide into him with your army, which Agartha can't deal with, right?
Yeah. Just tell him, like, look, here's another province for a temple. It can hold a beautiful temple. It can hold plenty of PD. Go ahead. And Agartha be like,
because
mine.
I think this position. Here's the thing: like, if he gives up this, and then this Agartha army starts rummaging around over in here too, it's going to be pretty horrible, right? It would be nice, like, you actually have a somewhat playable position. If you can give this away and get Agartha off your back, maybe get all the mages out, and then if you win some battles against Jomon, you can maybe push back into this region and, you know, like, maybe get this fort. This fort might be a good, like, stretch goal after you secure your core territory. And then maybe take this. You know, like, that's a playable position now. But
if I were in the Jomon position, just to show the other side real quick, and this is something I would be concerned for Arco about. From Jomon's position here, if I had the Ryujin for it, I would just put a Ryujin with Foul Vapors in both of the most likely, to me anyway, provinces for that Arco army.
Yeah.
And they don't have Foul Vapors defense, then
I
that's
think
always going to be worth it.
He has cast Foul Vapors before, hadn't he? Or what? Yeah, he did. Or wait, was it Jomon that cast? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But in the previous fight between Jomon and Arco, Foul Vapors came out. But I think you're right. That's a very powerful strategy, potentially.
Right. For the Arco position, like you said, buying off Agartha, I mean, you have to try and defend some of your lands, and trying to take on more than you can handle is obviously going to end up stretching you too thin. I would even still be concerned, though, especially the 3 provinces that are kind of in the upper left portion of Arco's lands. Those seem really vulnerable to further Ryujin.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 aren't even defendable, really.
Yeah, and the one north of that as well. It's
so, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of troops that are going to be pulling up here. And I think part of the thing that gives us a green light is Bogarus moved onto this, which there's now a huge Satis army here. I mean, holy shit.
Oh, yeah. That's a...
Are these guys size 3 or 4? They're 4, so they can trample Bogarus heavy cav. Dear God. I mean, there's a lot of skellies. There's no way Bogarus wins this fight.
Stole 2 Iron Guard. With what? Does he have Enslaved Mind already? He must have,
I think
right?
so.
Unless there's a magic being version of it. Are they magic?
How does he even get that high astral? Oh, he's got Maguses.
He does have a communion as well. Yeah.
I mean, we can look at it again. I think it's going to be easier than trying to scroll through all the mages. So these guys are running from the start because they don't have magic leadership. Which probably means they were assassinated. Wait, that looks like Mind Blast.
I think they're taking... So when they route, they take
that's what it is.
Damage. But even when they're no commander routing. I think that's Enslaved Mind. I think I saw it there.
Oh, yeah. What did he get? Was that Enslaved Mind?
You can only see the mind color. Huh.
I saw it.
There's
In
so
Slave
many
Mind.
mages.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So, I mean, another reminder, if I remember correctly, he was the research leader
Right.
a little while ago. He may very well still be because he's got, at
Well,
the
these
very
mages aren't in a
least,
lab right now.
high level. Yeah, well, maybe not
I
after a
think
few
his
turns
god
of
was
this.
doing it. Yeah. Okay. That's one way to use your god. I mean, he's got a pin booster too. Okay.
Oh, la la, how fancy.
He's Astral 6. I mean, if all that's left is a Tyrant and an Astral 6 with plus, what, is that only plus
Yeah.
1 pen is spamming and mind at
Yeah,
you?
I mean, it is a counter to Phoenix Pyre. I mean, this is a spooky army. This fort's cracked, though. I don't know if he can, if Satis can defend it. Satis has just been sitting in their cap too much. And like, okay, they roll out, they save this fort, which isn't even broken yet, and they lose this one. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is like, you might come up with, I think this is maybe a trap some new players get in, is they come up with the plan, they're like, well, once I get all these things, then I'll be able to win a tactical victory. Right? Like, you can see the thought process. What are the things I need to have a tactical victory? And he probably came up with the list or thought about them, and now he has them, so he's riding out, like, in full force in all his glory. But the thing is if the time it takes you to get those things to win that tactical victory, you already lose strategically. You probably are better just trying longer shots that you can actually use to potentially win a strategic victory.
From this position, if I was Satis, I would even maybe threaten Bogarus and tell him, look, I have my entire mage corps and more troops than you, and you can't beat this army, and even if you did, you wouldn't be able to take the fort because you'd lose most of what you have. And Flagger would get everything. Why don't you just, go mess with somebody else and let me stall Flegra?
Yeah, I think that's a valid threat. I would probably, if I were playing Bogarus and you had that army there, first of all, I would know I would need to move off that fort anyway. So
Run. Yeah.
I would probably say, okay, just let me get that fort if Flegra kills you. Or something. I would just ask for vulturing rights. Because Bogarus is in a position now they cannot take this fort. But Satis is also in a position, man, it would be great to march this army up here, kill these guys, or split it. He could split it and take both these. That's what I would probably do. And then take a third army down here.
And then still counter raid from the cap,
Yeah.
the other two in his cap.
I mean, these are very, very lightly defended. So, yeah.
If he had a really good turn, he could clear like 5 provinces, have 2 secure forts,
Right.
maybe 3, and Flegger with an isolated army and nothing else to use. Like it's not hopeless.
But the other nice thing is if Bogarus frees up here, because this is kind of what I was getting into, is that if, like, one of the reasons Jomon can, like, kind of all in Arco right now is he's made peace with Abyssia. Jomon's committed to fighting Satis, so he's in an economically advantaged position to just chow down on this dude. Like, that's a great deal for him. If Bogarus gets freed up and then Bogarus joins back in, this gets a lot more complicated for Jomon. And I'll just say, if people are doing a diagonal war across you, which is what's happening here, there's 2 players that should be very uncomfortable with Jomon. One of them is Ulm, and one of them is Bogarus. And that's because, like, the next logical war would be for him to eat one of you.
If anything, I think even Nagartha might need to be more worried than Ulm, because the Ulm border is still kind of awkward because of just where they're situated.
Yeah, I think really it's Bogarus. Bogarus
and Ulm
should not allow Jomon to eat Arco.
Yeah, Bogarus should not be happy. This is not a good situation for Bogarus.
But, I mean, it's a good situation in the fact that, like, here's a different way to look at it from Bogarus's eyes. Arco, who was going to be his ally, right, in fighting Jomon, got distracted by Agartha. That threat has been mostly dealt with by now, though. Agartha's been pretty much put down. So now that frees up Arco to fight Jomon. But Arco probably wouldn't want to do that. They would probably rather just fuck with Agartha. But then Jomon attacks Arco, forcing Arco to fight Jomon, which is bad for you if and when Arco loses that war. It's good for you, though, because that puts you in a position to now do a 2v1 against Jomon, which Arco's, by definition, going to be pretty committed to. The real diplomacy thing here would be finding somebody to stab Agartha. So.
Oh, yeah.
It also means Jomon, at least for the time being, isn't all-inning Bogarus right as they sent their army to go fight Satis.
But I think it makes just worlds of sense here for Bogarus to retreat. I think Satis has done the appropriate display of force to retreat and go fuck with Jomon. I mean, he has a lot of troops. If he gets this throne, can siege through, I would probably finish sieging this throne before I actually stick the dagger in. But, you know, you finish getting this throne, he's got a decent amount of army. I mean, if we look at the army graph, he's not number one, but he's not the... Okay, maybe I'm lying a little bit. Now, where's Jomon? Okay, so, but where's the Arco? Oh, so these guys are tied for, like, last, actually. So when you sum them up, you get the amount of dudes that Jomon has, but they both have higher tier stuff than Jomon. Jomon has Ashigaru, which I know you don't want me to talk anything bad about them, but they are, let's just agree they're cheap. They're cheap.
Well, they're cost effective. They're not there because they're elite troops.
And both these players, even though their army graph's kind of small, they do have more elite troops in their armies than Ashigaru.
Yes.
So anyway, point being, if they combine forces, it would be a fair fight. I think Jomon could still win this 2v1, but it would be a good fight.
It would looks like there might even run over Arco if Arco can't defend properly. If in a 2v1, it would be much less likely to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, I don't think Ryujin like air elementals. I don't think like 3 air elementals is something most Ryujin are prepared to deal with. And that's pretty trivial for Jomon to deploy as counter-raiding forces. Or Cloud Trapezing Magic Phase forces to snipe these guys. So.
Yeah. There are some options, but it can be a strong counter, especially if it's like a thug version of a Ryujin that isn't maybe has gems invested into it and isn't maybe expecting to be magic phase or something like that.
Okay. So let's look at the next messages here. We have a message from Satis. We'll go ahead and read that. Hello, this is the sub for Satis. I've been playing since turn 22. I don't think I mentioned that. The Pretender choice seems weird to me. Great Sage Pretender? Weird? What game do you think you're in?
Yeah, he also had like the #1 resource for the research for like the first quarter of the game. So,
but the Sage and 2 Astral Mage provinces have kept me in the game longer than I should have. I've traded the fort on 90 to Bogarus for peace. What?
Oh, okay. I think he's saying he took all the stuff in the fort out already, and that's in that big consolidated blob.
Well, then why? He should have marched it up here. But, yeah, okay.
Maybe he didn't want to have, like, the stuff coming out of the fort wasn't enough to defend the province in that there if Flegra attacked it.
Yeah, he wanted a province in between there and his cap so he could get back to it as well.
I just think he got bullied unnecessarily but like, I would never take this deal as Satis because I would just kill this Bogarus army. I mean, they need to be able to focus down Flegra. I can understand wanting to do it, but if I have an army inside a fort and you want to take it, it depends. If it was like a peripheral fort to me that I didn't need, but if I had 3 forts left and you want to take one of my last 3 forts and I have an army in that fort that can kill everything you have, I'll tell you to go pound sand, like 99 times out of 10. Or out of 100.
I believe he moved some of it from his capital and some of it from that fort in order to ensure that all of it could make it back,
Right.
in case Flegner moved there.
So let's make sure we finish reading this. However, this will lead to a battle with Falegra in the province between my cap and fort. I'm bringing out mages, lots of mages. Chariot's my pretender who will cast Foul Vapor's Wailing Winds. Ooh, Wailing Winds. For the very annoying tyrants, I'm trying to get them with Gifts of Heaven from a Fire, Earth, Astral, Sage Communion, Banefire, and Enslaved Mind. Hopefully, one of those will work if I run into any of them. Gems are very tight, especially since I've lost a bunch of sites. Sold a Thistle Mace to Calum a few turns ago, which is going to keep me afloat for a good few turns on nature gems. Okay. I just like that he's moving out. I don't, I'm quibbling over like giving up this fort, but if he gives up this fort and that gives him the confidence to now just start riding down Falegra armies, I accept that. But I like the mage support. I like that he's riding out. Cool.
Agreed.
He has a good plan for combat.
Yeah, he's thought about all the things. So, cool. I'm just looking forward to seeing some action. I think this was what we saw here. He had just assassinated a mage, and the Flagrant army moved on down here. So, cool. We've watched that. We've watched this. Let's move to a message from Ulm. Hello, Lucid, Grippa, and whoever this Zan guy is. Ooh, Ravzia. Feels bad, man.
Oof. Yeah, I've been busy lately.
Yeah, just get completely ignored. Just kidding. Love all your content. I guess that was meant to Zan. Firstly, sorry for the lack of messages. I wasn't aware that we should send them in-game, but we'll try doing them regularly from now on, so long as I'm in the game. May not be very long. You'll see that you'll have seen my battle with Lemuria last turn, where they showed Rigor Mortis and Foul Vapors. Not too sure how I'm going to deal with that. My research has not been good this game because of my terrible expansion, early war with Micklin. God, I forgot about that. It seems so long ago.
Yep.
However, I've had Lightless Lantern production online for the last few turns. I think I can somewhat deal with Foul Vapors. Long way off from being able to cast Relief, though. Diplomatically, I'm expecting Abyssia to attack me this turn, and I believe they have better research than me also. But hopefully, they lost a lot fighting Jomon, which they didn't, because they basically just had extremely intense staring contest with Jomon.
Interesting. Abyssia's going on all.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
No love for people fighting Lemuria in this game. I mean, let's be real.
Exactly.
Whoever's fighting Lemuria gets stabbed. Not 9 times out of 10, but probably 6 or 7 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ironic though because they were the first one to attack Lemuria.
A two-front war is something I'm very worried about, but I shall do my best. Wish me luck. On a happier note, I believe Calum is going to join me against Lemuria. This turn now that Patala is dead. Okay, and this makes sense because we saw Calum making a lot of their Ice-Clad and Storm guys, the guys who have ice protection. And those are pretty good against Lemuria dudes, especially if you get like a critical mass of like 400 of them.
You know who else can help against Lemuria?
Oh, yeah.
Abyssia. But alas, here we are.
The thing is, you have to like very specifically prepare for a war against Lemuria. And I don't think Abyssia... I mean, Abyssia is going to have to fight into cold. They need to have the supply items. They stand to gain fucking nothing.
Besides maybe a throne?
Oh. Oh.
That looks like it might have been sold. That's 1 PD.
Oh, yeah. Lemuria mentioned this in the last episode. He said that he sold it to Abyssia so that Calum couldn't get it.
And lo
the
and
birds
behold,
arrive.
Only to find not the enemy.
Yeah, this is precisely how
He got lucky, honestly, that his commander didn't get sniped
Yeah.
there.
Oh, and they route. Yeah, they've got pretty nice protection. I don't know what the cold of this province is, but he ends up losing one of the mages and then all the rest. It was cold 3. Damn.
Storm Guard have 1 Ice Prot, and they have
Storm
15
Guard. Okay.
normal
No, they have
prot.
2 Ice Prot.
They have Ice Prot
Wait,
too.
how is that?
Are
Ice
they?
Age is 18. Wait, does that
You-
change with the... Wait, what the fuck? Because I could have sworn... There's no way that it's that low.
It's not an Ice Clad, it's the
Yeah, Ice Protection
Storm
to
Guard,
14.
14.
So it should be 14 plus 6.
So I guess it was cold 2 when they were
It
fighting.
could be.
Is that how
Because, yeah,
that
it's
works?
winter now, right? So it was early winter last turn. So it's possible it was cold 2 here. Okay, which makes sense for them having 16, which is what we saw. Or 18. What was it? It was... Yeah, 18.
Yes, I was wrong. They have Ice.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been
18.
nice to have 20, but 18 is pretty good. So that was just perfectly engineered by Lemuria. And oh my god. Lemuria pinging this. Is this the... I think this is the Kalem God.
That could be Kalem patrolling.
Oh, it could
actually.
be, yeah.
Oh no,
Oh my god.
I think that's
A lot of
that.
birds.
There's some things... I have some comments even
Unless it's
just
an
looking at this. Like, I don't think you want them in this big of squads because... especially, like, you have to imagine you run into Lemuria with Rigor Mortis. What you don't want to have happen is, like you don't... Every single turn of combat matters, right? So you want, like, maximum surface area to, like, hit as many squads as you can. And these guys, if you're fighting in Cold 3, are going to be... Especially if you get anti-magic on them, are going to be immune to ghosts, right? I mean, not, like, totally immune if they're completely surrounded. But if you have 400 of them, you don't care about that. What you just want to avoid is having, like, a whole pack of 80 or 100 of these guys, like, sitting around one small squad where 3 of the rows of them aren't doing anything. So if you put them in a lot of small squads, you're probably going to get a better coverage of the battlefield.
Right. If you have all of them attacking every turn, they're going to eat through
Yeah.
those so fast that the
Right.
rigor mortis just doesn't matter.
I mean, again, you know, in principle, you're right. When you get into it, the numbers matter. Like, if you have 2,000 ghosts, that may be enough. But, like, 1,000 ghosts isn't anywhere close to enough. 1,500 ghosts isn't enough. It's you might even need, like... But the other thing is how you deploy your ghosts. You want your ghosts in, like, a very tight ball so that the numbers of Kalem don't count for as much, and you just hope they fatigue out by the time that happens. And that's when you bring in the Thunderstrike, because then they're fucked if they put together, or if they group together, and they're fucked if they split up. So...
Interesting that Kalem basically has like a 1 province corridor that they can use for
Yeah.
their attack as well. Prevents them from being outrated or something of that nature, although they might not be as disadvantaged as Ulm.
Yeah, late age Kalem also gets really good thugs with the Harab Elders. If you twice born them, you have to be a little careful about them getting, like, undead commanded by even, like, Lemuria PD. But having played Lemuria into late age Kalem, like, those thugs can easily kill, especially if you put a bit of MR on them. They can easily kill, like, 200 or 300 ghosts if they don't have, like, mage support. So those are... Point here is they're actually very good counter raiders.
I suspect, given the number of water tubes
Yeah.
that he forged for, he's actually going for the
Yeah,
Evo 6
cleansing water.
anti.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't see any evidence here of a Oh, this could be Storm.
It's got some Frostbrand.
Okay, so we may have Storm. There were only a few Air 2s. Like, this guy's Air 2. All these guys are going to be Air 2s. I think all Hera builders, but there's only 3.
Well, with the storm, they'll.
And then no, we can have a Thunderstrike. I think we have a Thunderstrike Communion, and we have Cleansing Water. I think this is exactly what he needs to do. Some things like, does he have supply items, and maybe does he have anti-magic? Those are the only things I'm wondering.
Anti-magic is hard if he doesn't have an indie for it. He does have Crystal Amazon in the middle there.
Okay.
In a communion.
Oh, here's one. Yeah, so anti-magic. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy, this just appears to be, he knows what he's doing. This is exactly what you want to fight Lemuria at this phase in the game. You just go sit on this fort and you say, fuck you, I'm taking it. And then you go to the next fort and you say, fuck you, I'm taking it. And you just keep going. The only thing we don't know if he has is supply items. And we don't know how he's going to deal with the rating. I'd like to see good counter rating with Hero Builder thugs. But
he did have a bag of wine on the
very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, he did have one. So.
And this is, this would have been a nice prize for him to pluck earlier in the game. I think this is a different player, because this position got subbed. But the Death Gems are super welcome on Calum. So.
Yeah, you can actually, if scouts get in there, they can start trying to ping some of those, because the cap only has, what?
Yeah.
1 PD?
I mean, 1 PD for Lemuria is decent still, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, it'll still die to like.
Yeah, and I think another thing you want to think about doing, you want to be careful because you don't want to be defeated in detail doing this. But light raiding on some of the adjacent forts to the forts you're about to take can really fuck up Lemurian logistics, right? Because one of the things you have to worry about is like, okay, so let's say you move everybody here, right? What Lemuria would consider doing, what I would do as Lemuria is I would move this army out of here, like move it back here, and or distribute it in all these forts around here. Maybe move it. I would probably move in Patron because I'd be worried about what I'm about to describe. But is if you lock this fort down and maybe this fort down, and maybe you lock this fort down, but you might not need to, because this fort's only going to allow travel from this fort. Like, what Lemuria should do is pull all their ghosts from all the adjacent forts to have some doom fight if they thought they might have a chance of winning it. And you can block that by, there's only a few PD here, so by locking these forts down with like 40 birds.
Also, aside from disrupting reinforcements, if you do win a fight, you're suddenly on top of a good chunk of Lemuria's forts and snowballing the advantage from there. If you win a good fight as Calum, becomes easier because those forts aren't generating troops. You're still blocking them from reinforcing the one you're sieging. It becomes a lot harder.
Okay. It's going to get spicy. Let's see what happened down here in the Ulm Lemuria front. Did we have a message from Ulm? Oh, yeah, we already read it. So, I wonder if Abyssia told Lemuria they're attacking, because Lemuria's going crazy on the offensive. Oh, Timu's out. Did he get a heroic trait on a Timu yet? It's going to piss me off if it's something good. Ice Sword. That's strange as fuck. He gets a Bane Sword. I think a Bane Sword's better.
I think it is too.
Yeah, agreed.
He doesn't have a shield, so. He might have just picked it up and not discarded it, to be honest.
I mean, it's such a bad weapon. No, I mean, I guess it's an upgrade for your priests. So you could put on your priest. But I think for most of your troops, like if they have a life drain, I'd rather have that. Okay, so raiding with the Google. Look at this. Dust to dust coming through.
It's what after magic. Oh, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's so painful.
Casting AI.
I think even just one imp could maybe stop that. And I mean, those guys are expensive. That's not a cheap loss for
gold
one PD.
For literally 1 gold to kill 140. Takes those out with the Black Templar.
Man, Lemuria PD is so stupid. Like, compare it to Airmore from the earlier age, and it's like night
Oh yeah,
and day.
Airmore gets a Mound King, right, for their PD commander, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like, we'll have a mage with magic power and all these
Yeah.
other things.
I mean, it's not exactly out of line with other things. Like, you can get, like, a Van Thug. It was one of the things I was kind of interested in, was, like, what are elf builds that would make your 1 PD commander, like, a Giga Chad? But...
Like a million strength would be funny, is like a counter to Thug rating.
yeah, that would be funny.
They just like 30
Yeah.
damage right in the head or something.
I wonder what
The
the highest path
raid
mage
deepened.
is for PD. Like, I wonder if there's a 2-path mage you can get for PD anywhere.
There might be on Forge or something, but I don't think you'd find one in normal PD.
And there's like, it's so interesting. And we should make a spreadsheet on IlWiki or something of all the PD, like fort, non-fort, underwater, for different nations, and list the commanders. Because like, there's some really interesting ones. Like, which nations have priests so they can like auto bless sacreds, which...
MATC gets extra PD. Including like their high quality,
but not on. No, I think they get the composite bows.
Yeah.
I
think they. No, I could be wrong. I thought they got those like everywhere.
They have. I'm pretty sure they have the crossbows and fort PD, but I think they have the composite bows and the everywhere PD. They might get crossbows when they go above 20. Which is, like when you start normally getting national... The thing with middle-aged TNG, I'm surprised you knew this. Most people don't know. They get the nationals starting at like 1. But it's like, the way it works... Can I do PD somewhere? The way it works is like, normally you have like... I think this is actually how PD is laid out, is you get... This is like the indies you would get. Then beneath it is like extra PD type. So if you had like the horse tribe thing that gives you extra horse tribe, that would fill in beneath it, like in a row beneath it. Above it is when you'll start getting like over 20, you start getting your nationals, right? And those would start filling in above it. And those can all be different types. So I think for middle-aged TNG, they get the indies, then beneath it they get like composite bows and pike spearmen or something, and then above it, they might get, like, once you go over 20, they might start getting the crossbows and then the higher quality elite infantry. But yeah, you're right. That's super interesting.
I think you're right.
And then we get, like, the Trampler for Arco. That guy can be a badass. And, like, you could have a strategy where you, like, point buff your PD commander, right? You can also do it where if you have, like, if your PD commander is like sacred or a priest, and you have a thug that you want to defend a province, you can save a script slot on blessing by just putting him in the same tile as the priest, which is just the middle of the map. And you can just have him ignore the blessing and count on the priest to bless you. So that's a kind of cool thing too. But...
Yeah, we did kind of get on a tangent.
Console rating, let's see if he's using gear.
I believe, nope.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you can do if you're raiding into Lemuria is just like, maybe like mind burn that. Like, this is, you just know this is going to be expensive. I would keep these guys in your army. I wouldn't really want them running around. I mean, imps maybe, fire elemental, earth elemental, mind burn. I mean, because they've got astral 2 mages which are recruit anywhere, right? So if Lemuria is doing 1 PD everywhere, which is kind of the Lemurian thing, you just have a mind burn caster, and that's going to kill them before these guys can get in combat.
Right. Yeah, that makes some sense.
What is Om going to do about this? Do you think Om has... I don't know if he has an army in here. I don't...
It's 1 turn popped. I don't think
There
he
may
can
be
do
an
anything
army
about
inside.
If he's got a good army that can clog the gate, but I'm pretty sure that's
Ooh.
gonna
Yeah, you don't.
yeah, that's a rigor
Yeah, you don't want
mortis.
to clog
that
the gate into
Lemuria's
rigor
god?
mortis foul vapors.
That's a
Yeah,
Lich
that's the
Queen.
god.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's his source of flavor.
And we can look. She's the foul vapor caster. A very badass god.
There you go. What
I
global
think
is
it's
she
Eyes of
holding up?
God.
Mother Oak or something?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh, and the other two belong to Arco, who actually has probably
Right.
competitive gem income. Just because plus 20 is really strong in
Yeah.
the late age.
So yeah, I think Arco is a playable position if they can throw Jomon off here.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly that's not looking great for Ulm because some of their other forts are maybe a little isolated out on
Yeah.
the
He
west
kind of
there
got
as
sucked
well.
into playing Lemuria's game. Like we were talking, and he needed to go have an army that just because he picked this war. He declared war on Lemuria. He needed to have an army that said,
Yeah.
"Fuck you, I'm taking this fort. Fuck you, I'm taking this fort." Right? And he won a big battle at the beginning, but then he just didn't have the confidence to go do that. And Lemuria, I mean, he's going to have trouble dealing with the raiding anyway. But and you don't want to like give up on the raiding game, but he then just got pulled into this thing where like, hey, I'm going to try to defend all my provinces. And Lemuria just waited for him to split his army up, and then they had like a big battle a turn or so ago where they defeated him in detail. So
It is late age Ulm. Like if he is blood hunting a lot, he should
yeah,
have a lot of potential
right,
to
right,
raid
right.
forces out and about.
Yeah, and we were talking about different things they could do, but you also want to blood hunt tall if you're going to be fighting Lemuria, because if you have like 8 of these guys in a province, so if you're blood hunting tall and they're doing solar rays and you have patrol chaff there, they're going to kill so many ghosts so quickly. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, and I mean those are just some of your stronger mages against ghosts anyway, so you wouldn't be spamming them out.
And they'll take care of consuls, they'll take care of a Timu, they'll take care of everything.
Maybe permanently if he's got the
Yeah.
right tech. I mean, I don't see any MR on those guys.
It's honestly, if you have Soul Slay, you just you put a gem on 2 of them, have them do Power of the Spheres, and then slam Soul Slay. Done. Just wait for him to run into it.
Yep, and I mean that's a big investment for Lemuria.
Losing a console's painful. Losing a Timu,
Yeah.
you kind of just want to quit and uninstall. Because he's like the best. You know, like it does. Like you could be in it where you're like 5 turns away from winning the game, but somebody soul slays a Timu. And you're like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm done. I can't play again. It's like it is the best way to do like a real life hit. Morale hit.
I think the worst would be if he got hit by beckoning.
Got hit by what?
Him that way. Beckoning or something like that.
What is beckoning?
It's in the tourney. Arco did the Army of Rats beckoning play. It's the high level Thom, the nature spell that just sends them away into the forest forever.
Does it kill immortals? Really?
I believe so. Yes.
Wow.
Because they don't die per se, but they just walk into the trees and run. That's
okay. That would be cool. All right. So yeah, it looks like the wheels are starting to come off the Ulm wagon. We'll see. I think there's an army inside here, so maybe he rides out and has a cool battle, but I don't think he has. I mean, he didn't indicate here that he has a solution for rigor mortis and foul vapors. Which
he said something about maybe foul vapors, but he can't cast relief.
I mean, he can. He gets astral nature mages.
Well, he doesn't.
But that's why I was
just
checking the turn number. It's turn 46. Like, you should have enchantment 6 by now if you want. You know. And
Right.
I mean, honestly, it'd be nice to have Serpent's
If he
Blessing
was-
too.
Yeah. All of those spells would be nice. Although, I th- yeah, Serpent's Blessing is just so much more gem efficient and mage efficient
Yeah.
that it's really useful. Because it frees up your mages to cast things other than like
Right,
20 poison lords or whatever.
And relief makes a big difference. I mean, honestly, he picked this war too, and this is one of the things I think. I mean, it's really in all player games, but I think it's like knowing. This is like how you get better at the game, right? Like you could know how to play Ulm, but you need to understand the Ulm Lemuria matchup, and you need to know Rigor Mortis is coming out. You might not expect Foul Vapors, right? But you would need to know that Rigor Mortis is coming out probably, and then you need to have relief. So it's kind of like the little checklist. The checklist changes as the game goes on. The things you have to be prepared for fighting Lemuria in the mid game are like Darkness and Rigor Mortis, right? At the beginning, you just need anti-magic and some way to kill the ghosts and the thugs. But it gets a bit more complicated later. But, it's not that hard to deal with. You put up Solar Brilliance, you put up anti-magic, and you put up relief. You're back to being a pretty rough time for the ghosts.
And then he casts Wailing Winds and Winds of
Yeah,
Death.
well, that's like late mid-game. Once Wind of Death comes out, things get tricky. It's still something Ulm has the tools to deal with, because they have death. They can throw in a communion, so they can do life after death, and they can do like turn 1 anti-magic trivially. So it's like they have the tools to deal with a lot of these things, sort of. They can also do mass regen. But some of this just comes into like, this is a game, right? And part of the game for Lemuria is you're usually going to be behind in research. So you shouldn't really be having like tech advantages where you're like deploying something and the other person's like, oh no, my trap card or whatever, like the other person should be trap carding you if you're Lemuria with magic.
Right. Although, to be fair, Lemuria kind of gets, I think, a little bit more value out of their power spikes. Like, Rigor Mortis is much stronger on Lemuria than many other nations. That it can be just only getting enchantment.
Rigor Mortis is a huge deal. But my point is that, like, if you're getting to enchantment 6 the same time as somebody else, as Lemuria, you've won the game. Right, like people, everybody else. When you get Rigor Mortis as Lemuria, somebody else should be at their 7s and 8s.
What I would say is Lemuria might only be researching enchantment to get to Rigor Mortis, where somebody else might split their research between conjuration and thaumaturgy and construction and enchantment, and maybe something else, and then. While Lemuria only has like a quarter of their research, they still hit it at about the same time.
I think that's a fair point.
Did we see what Abyssia and Ulm were doing to each other?
Oh god. Yeah, this was the other thing, is that Ulm doesn't...
Ulm said something. Spoiling attacks. I don't know who exactly got spoiled by this.
Oh god.
Well, he just lost
the crossbow.
That was rough. Oh my. They have the
But how does Abyssia have so many fucking crossbow?
Getting some friendly fire.
Oh, he's burninating them.
He's also setting them all on fire. They're all on fire.
I guess he's lucky that battle ended so quickly.
Because they're mixed in with the mages.
I think there were some Hellspawn that might have...
17 crossbow.
17 crossbows. And he should have only lost the Hellspawn.
Minus 170 gold. But, I mean, still a good trade.
And he does it again.
We've got a vampire here.
2 of them, in fact.
Body ethereal. Oh, he's going to lose the shaman to... I think this guy... Yeah, he doesn't have fire resistance. He's getting cooked.
At least he doesn't cast protection or bark skin on himself.
I think we have casting
That's
AI. That's
the
not gonna do
worst way
that.
to do it.
But he's got just these guys. Wait, did one of them? What happened to this guy? Oh, he got yeeted by a crossbow.
Hit by crossbows.
Yeah.
He's immortal. He'll be fine. I did that in a game in Savicia once. I was, let's see, early age, so I wanted to put bark skin on somebody who already had fire resistance, obviously. And the shamans ran out of available targets in range, so they just cast it on each other.
Oh,
And then
that's
they
funny.
Rest in peace.
Oh wait, no, that's not it. I had bark skin in my bless, and I had like a divine blessing or something. I brought them along for body ethereal, I guess, instead. And then they all got bark skin.
That's
and then
really
they
funny.
burned to death.
It's looking bad for Ulm. I mean, we didn't. It was looking bad without considering Abyssia, but then.
Yeah, that's rough.
Wait. Oh, Ulm was attacking here. Okay, I was like, how did Abyssia win a fight and get a temple still?
He actually attacked both of those. He said he was doing spoiling attacks in his message, I guess, to soften Abyssia up, but I don't think that went.
Well, I mean, maybe you could say, okay, this was throwaway, but I think he needed these guys. I don't think this was.
Yeah, at least for siege.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Whew. I mean, at least the Ulm player has a good attitude about it. I mean, let's look at the good things for Ulm. Ulm has the potential to defend these two provinces from this army. I think that is super possible. I don't think he can defend this one now, not without really outplaying Abyssia.
Well, I don't think Abyssia can one turn crack that.
So, yeah, he could move all this stuff here and move this stuff here and then come back and fight it.
Yeah, he might even have a couple of turns.
So that could work. Okay, I think we've covered everybody. I'm honestly probably most excited to see the Calum-Lemuria conflict. Like,
yeah, I want to see that finally happen. It's been 40-something turns late, but here we go.
Also looking forward to seeing Satis. What do they do with this Doom stack? They finally rolled out. It's like they've got their checklist. They finally managed to check everything off. They're going to do it. And dear God, please do not go back in the cap. If they go back in the cap this turn, I'm going to start rooting against Satis. Be like, somebody just put them out of the game.
What is this blasphemy? I just want them to cast Banefire a lot.
How many? There were like 9 Sarmans? Oh, 4. Okay. A bunch of Reborn. Banefire darts.
Yeah, it's better than that.
All right, well, I think that's it. We're at, oh my God, we took 53 minutes. Dear Jesus.
Oops.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you all for watching, and thank you, Grippa and Rob, for joining me.
Absolutely.
All right, take care.
Thank you for having me.